Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. This is the chart and TA analysis for January 17th, 2022. And what we have here is an interesting formation. It does not look very good for Bitcoin right now. Now, fundamentally, I think there are some like Russia aspirations over the weekend with Ukraine. Regardless of what you think about the political situation, there is a chance that Russia may invade. Now, hopefully that doesn't happen, but if it invades, everything will spiral downward. Yes, there's codependencies. Russia's dependent on the euros, and Europe is dependent on the Russian gas. Prices will spike if this actually happens, and depending on how much the situation actually escalates, this is how fast this market will spiral down. Now, it will go down if this actually happens and there's some kind of conflict, because that brings market uncertainty. And especially with the spike in energy prices throughout Europe, and probably it'll affect the United States as well, that's really not going to bode well for all asset markets, including crypto. So I expect a pretty big dip. How low? I am not sure. But you can definitely expect somewhat of a dip. And it could influence crypto mining as well, because when you have an energy crunch, other countries are probably going to ban like wasteful energy uses like mining crypto. So at least a temporary ban if that actually happens. So that's probably a little bit why we actually went down today. The international situation looks a bit dicey and dangerous right now, and I would expect maybe like a 25-30% chance of Russia actually carrying out an invasion. They have been massing forces on the border for some reason. They've been doing covert psyops for a while, but like a lot of countries do that. So it's actually becoming more and more real, and there's several analysts that say like an invasion is more likely. Now, as for the technicals themselves, if you look at this graph, if you look at like the full 1 week, from the 10th till today, if you look at bottom to bottom, even if you don't count this spike right here, the bottom without the spike was still 40,500. We're still at upper 41,000, so it's gone up a little bit. If you count the spike, we're up quite a lot. And if you actually look at the 1 week, we are kind of up from top to top as well. The neckline has actually moved a little bit higher than what it was about a week ago. But since midweek, about the 13th, we've definitely come down in terms of tops, and really in terms of bottoms as well. If you look at these lines right here, like ever since about the 14th or 15th, the little highs have gotten lower and the lows have gotten higher. The weekend was not very good for Bitcoin. Now, the weekend was not devastating for Bitcoin by any means, but it wasn't good for Bitcoin, and we could actually be at least in a very, very short-term downtrend right now, starting around the 15th area, or maybe even the 14th area. I mean, we did peak on the 13th back here, then we've been going down a little bit ever since. There was some hope here when it reached 43,800, but now we're in the 41,000s area. Let's see if we dip into the 40,000s area or below 40,000, because that could be another downtrend. Volume still remains very, very, very low. I think interest is low. Today is Martin Luther King's, remember today is a federal holiday, MLK, so we'll have to see what happens tomorrow when it opens. I think it could go both ways, and I don't really know how Asia will actually react. I think like some of the geopolitical situations in the world will definitely affect how the market moves at this point, and it definitely could be in for quite a drop if there is a black swan event like Russia invading Ukraine. Now, black swan events generally aren't forecastable in the longer term, but when it's sitting right on your lap, maybe happening within a week or two, you can actually see them somewhat. Doesn't mean it'll happen, but it could actually happen. And I think people are a little bit scared because of that. I think all asset markets are a little bit frightened because of that. Going on the technical numbers themselves, pretty much all the oscillators are neutral, and the average directional index is about the same as it's always been. And the moving averages right now, they're all saying sell because we've actually dumped within the last day or so. Both the 10 and the EMA and the SMA are negative, and we're about 500 below the 10 SMA, and about 1,000 below the EMA. So it would take us rising to about 43,500 for both of these to be positive again. Obviously, everything else is negative as well, and the 50 EMA is still solidly below the 200 EMA, so the death cross still exists. The golden cross has not been has not been formed yet. Now, we'll have to see within the next 15 days, within the next half month, if that golden cross forms. I still hold out hope that early February we'll actually see kind of a reversal as more people come in. But that really depends on the geopolitical and the Russian situation. If that situation absolves itself, then I think we will go up as a market. But if there's an invasion, we will actually drop down. So right now, it kind of depends on more the fundamental factors and geopolitical factors than it actually depends on any kind of like TA factors right now. But right now, everything, because of that factor, is actually pointing towards sell, at least on the daily. On the weekly, much the same thing. You have to go down for like 2 years before you find a buy signal, and pretty much like all the oscillators are pretty neutral. So, and you have a pretty strong sell going from the 10-week EMA to the 50-week EMA. So right now, we're basically on weekly, we're actually down for the year. This is one of the first times we're actually down for the year, because last year we did rise up pretty fast. And you will actually look at a downtrend if you go back like 50 weeks. So right now, weekly, I would say like the rest of this month is probably somewhat sell, unless the Russian situation clears up really fast. The rest of the month is probably on a sell trajectory. So probably wouldn't buy on the weekly. On the monthly right now, it's still positive. The 10 has moved towards sell, obviously, but the 20, 30, 50 are all positive. If we actually have this black swan event happen, I do believe we will actually turn negative on the 20, because I do think we can dip below 37 and 35, maybe even below 30 if that happens, because it would be a pretty big event. How fast we recover, I'm not really sure. That depends how much the conflict actually escalates. Now, no, I don't think both sides are going to start tossing nukes, because nuclear powers aren't going to use them against each other. Mutually assured destruction does not favor anyone. But Putin knows what he's doing, and he's not really going to back down. And I think like it's going to be very hard for NATO or the US and Europe to deal with it. Germany obviously wants Ukraine to not fall under Russian influence, but I think Putin is very interested in reestablishing the Soviet Union in the long term. I mean, the majority of Russia kind of like still has romantic views of the Soviet days. So that is that's kind of like where we are right now, and the situation is pretty tense. Keep a watch out for the geopolitics. Keep a watch out for the numbers. I do think if it resolves, we'll go up to the upper 40,000s, but if it doesn't resolve, we could easily dump down to the 30,000s. I'm not really sure what's happening. We'll have to see until early February. I still think there's more of a chance we'll actually move up right now, because I don't think the situation is going to escalate that much. But, you know, I would give it like 30-70 chance. There is still a significant possibility that we could dip down. So I wouldn't actually buy right now. I would actually wait a little while and hold back to see how the situation actually clears up. Or DCA, but in the DCA, buy very little right now. Because you want some money on the side, definitely, if the Black Swan event does actually happen. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.